Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ray Tampa Podcast.
Yes.
Our podcast is new, our podcast is bold, and truth is our guiding principle. But political correctness is out the door. We will tell it like it is. My name is Ray Tampa, and I'm in the studio here with two of my best friends and my co-hosts, one being Russell Cato, and the other, Jamie Wilson III. Today, we're going to talk about an article that was, or a statement that was written by Malcolm X when he said, democracy is hypocrisy.
So true.
And we're going to explore that one as it relates to our democracy today. What I'm going to do is read an article I wrote. And after reading the article, my co-host and I will engage in a lively discussion about the article. Here's the article. The democratic form of government in the United States is very fragile. It is under tremendous stress at the present moment in time. And it is so crazy that this stress and strain resulted in large part from the lies told by the world's most pathetic serial liar and his incredible band of enablers. For Americans who are true patriots, for Americans who honor our Constitution, and for Americans who love our democratic form of government, we must remain vigilant in staying woke by recognizing all the hypocrisy in our democracy. I want to share a few instances where it defies common sense that people inside and outside our government will say and do things that are outrageously contrary to their professed beliefs and outrageously contrary to our democratic principles. Number one, President Trump professed his love for law enforcement / police officers while gleefully watching his ignorant, riotous mob viciously attack the police officers protecting the United States Capitol. Number two, lawmakers who constantly talk about their allegiance to law and order are ignoring the pain and suffering experienced by police officers and others during the unprecedented lawlessness by Trump insurrectionists. Number three, Senator Josh Hawley raised his fist in solidarity with the mob on the Capitol grounds and was seen shortly thereafter hauling ass in fear for his life. Republican lawmakers who claim devotion to their constituents overwhelmingly reject support for so many bill proposals that will benefit their constituents. Things such as affordable health care, sensible gun violence measures, prescription drug price controls, women's right to choose, individual freedoms for people to choose who they love, etc., benefit all. Number five, Ron DeSantis and his Republican colleagues are constantly yelling, education, not indoctrination. Indoctrination is exactly what they're attempting to do by telling teachers what to teach and what not to teach. Number six, Ron DeSantis is constantly talking about freedom this and freedom that. This is only for the people and organizations that agree with his stupidity.
Yes.
Number seven, Ron DeSantis and his cronies passed a law designed to punish protesters who blocked traffic. However, when the Cubans blocked traffic in Miami and in Tampa, nothing happened. Guess what would have happened if those protesters were African Americans? Number 8, judges require witnesses in their courtrooms to take an oath to tell the truth. However, Supreme Court justices pledged to tell the truth during their nomination hearings and lied in order to win their seats on the court. Their votes on Roe versus Wade exposed their lies. Number 9, Supreme Court justices are supposed to offer fair and impartial hearings on cases presented to the court. However, Clarence Thomas, the longest serving and dumbest justice, has already told the world how he plans to vote on marriage equality cases. Number 10, citizens all over the country are attempting to exercise their right to vote, while Republicans are vigorously trying to curtail or eliminate those rights. Number 11, white evangelicals and white Christian nationalists profess their love and devotion for the Constitution, but trample on the separation of church and state provision. Number 12, so many government officials take an oath of office and behave as they have never heard of such a thing. Number 13, Donald Trump should have been in jail already. Supposedly, no man is above the law. No doubt, this list can go on and on and on for pages, but we'll just stop at this point due to time constraints. Malcolm X was a genius. He nailed it when he said nearly 60 years ago, democracy is hypocrisy. Malcolm, I agree. Thank you. So at this point, I'm going to invite my co-host to, let's jump in and talk about what I just read. Democracy is hypocrisy. Which one?
Boy.
Okay, boy. He said, boy. All right, Russ.
That's a whole lot going.
Yeah,
Okay.
It is. First of all, democracy was not meant for black people. I mean, it started with the framework. We weren't included in the Constitution. We didn't have rights. So as far as like, you got people like DeSantis and Trump infringing upon our rights and changing things, it was never meant for us. We fought for it. We went to war to get free and become citizens. None of that worked out. Well, it did work out through time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what they're doing, the Trumps and the DeSantis and the Supreme Court. Again, like I always go back to what I say, the Democratic Party has a lot against it. And we go back to the extremist evangelicals, which includes the Blitz Project, the NRA, and the Republican Party itself. And this has been systematic from the beginning. It's slow to change. Yeah. It's slow to change. And because it was a plan. I mean, these same people, they freed us, but these same extremists or racists or whatever you want to call it, they later got jobs. They come into this country. They're immigrants themselves. They come into this country and they get jobs jobs with authority. Police, which is still, control freaks, and also politicians. It's a hard system to break, and it's generational.
KJ, you did make a very good point. Democracy was not intended for us in the beginning, but over time, there were laws made to bring us into the democratic form of government.
Right.
And being that the case, it is hypocrisy in the way it's being implemented.
Right.
Right.
All right, Russ.
Piggyback off what Jamie said, let me go to what Martin Luther King said about American democracy. And I like the word hypocrisy, but I want to use another word called oxymoron. Because I think it has some similarities here. You see? If you look at American democracy, and I'm hoping, Ray, we don't have the time to really go into this, but I'm hoping that our audience will listen to us. And when we say things, go in and read about them. That's what I hope our audience will do.
Right.
And I want to go back and look at American democracy. And I want everyone to go back and look at, if you're talking about hypocrisy and oxymoron, let's start off with the Declaration of Independence.
Yes.
These things are written by white people. They were not written by us. And if you go back and look at what supposedly Thomas Jefferson had written, it is supposed to be rights for all people.
All people.
That all people are created equally. Now, that is stated in principle. In 1918, there was a guy that was called Tyler. I think that was his name. And what he did in the House of Representatives, he wrote something called the American Creed. And I want to say this, and I'm hoping DeSantis is listening to this, because you can buy this thing called American Creed. You can really buy it. And I wonder, could you put this up in your classroom as a teacher and really teach the American Creed? I don't know, you see. But listen, when you look at the American Creed, it states that every individual in this country should be treated equally.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody. These things are written by white people, Ray, not by us. Now, here's the catch, and I know you've heard of this guy. In 1944, there was a guy called Gunnar Myrdal. I want people to remember this guy, a Swedish economy. And what he did in 1944, Ray, he looked at the treatment of black people in America. And he said to himself, my God, look at the hypocrisy, what is going on, and what these people are really saying. You know, this couldn't be. He saw in this thing the oppression of white people over black people. He saw this. This is in 1944, Ray. You see? So when you talk about Malcolm X, I don't want people to say, yeah, he's a black guy saying this. Oh, no. There are other people saying this other than Malcolm X.
Right.
You know, Ray.
Exactly.
So I appreciate your article, Ray.
I appreciate what the two of you have already
Yeah.
said in this short time period. You made some valid points, some great points. And when you say this guy suggested that the way African Americans in this country have been treated and things that they have said, that's why in my opening statement, I made reference to the fact that we have people inside and outside of our government who have said outrageously ridiculous things, quite contrary to their professed beliefs,
Right.
and quite contrary to democratic principles.
Yes.
But the oppression that we have dealt with for years and years and even today, it just exposes the hypocrisy
Yes, it is.
Right.
in our democracy.
Right.
You know, I mentioned in the article that all over the country we got people trying to curtail or eliminate our rights.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, and we can go down a list and identify those rights. You know, we got this ridiculous Supreme Court justice that I pointed out, the longest serving and the dumbest, as I said, Clarence Thomas, who would signal, that he doesn't mind if somebody brought a case before the Supreme Court that would contest marriage equality.
Yes.
Wow.
And he's letting people know, I'm going to vote against it. But the dumb part of it is, a part of that marriage equality concern is the right to interracial marriages.
Right.
And look what he has.
Yes.
A white wife.
Man, this guy's so stupid.
Yeah, he's a dum-dum.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Dumber than dumb.
But he's a talking head for them.
Right.
Because let me tell you something. And his wife runs the show. She's a Trumper. He just does what he's told. That's the only reason why I remember that one show you said so many years he hadn't even talked or
For 10 years.
Yeah. So
10 years.
Yeah, he was allowed to talk. He's just a talking head for them, a puppet. And that's the bottom line. He's too afraid to really speak out. He doesn't care though, because he has money. He's in a lifestyle that is generational probably, and he's good to go. So he's not going to rock the boat. But the bottom line, you talking about a Tom? That's Tom.
That's Tom?
That's Uncle Tom.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what scares me about him? If you go back and look at the environment in which he came from, it just does not match in what he's doing.
Right.
You know, back to what Jamie said, what has happened to this guy for him to go this route? I really don't know. Yeah, and then too, when I talk about Tom, I look at the dumbest of the dumbest, Herschel Walker.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy.
Well, it's a whole lot of those type. Where do they find these type of people?
Yeah.
Where do they grow them?
Where they grow them, man? Where do they?
They hate themselves though. And if you go back to like Scott and Thomas, they hate themselves. Yeah. They blame being black for whatever they went through as a kid, as far as economic disparity, and the more money or more connections, they feel whiter. Yeah. They hate themselves. That's where this comes from.
Yeah,
they really do.
Oh, I love my co-hosts.
And I'm sure they had some hard times coming up. We all have, especially with the law. I mean, you've been pulled just driving the Jag back in the day. I've been pulled just driving the Jag. Yeah. I mean, stuff like that. You all have that. But that's why you empower. When you get in a position or you get some status, you empower. You teach. You don't teach hate, but you teach and educate young other black men and women, brown and black men and women that's going to go through the same thing. You don't just follow suit with what they're doing, because now he's made it. Look what we did for him. Look what we did for Scott, Tim Scott. You know.
I heard Tim Scott yesterday on the news.
I heard him.
And I was so angry at him.
Yeah.
He's an idiot.
Remembering the discussion we had earlier about him. Mm-hmm. Remembering the article I wrote about him.
Right.
Tim Scott. Herschel Walker.
Oh, Herschel is
who was that? Dr. Ben Carson.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
A brain surgeon.
Yeah.
Who lost his mind. A brain surgeon who lost his mind.
He really did.
Oh my God. Well, let's look at another one of the points that I made in the article, especially the first one where I mentioned Trump professed his love for law enforcement officers. And not just Trump, the Republican Party has always claimed, and I will say claimed, to love law enforcement. And it's stupid how all these law enforcement leaders, like sheriffs and police captains around the country, gravitate toward the Republican Party, ignoring the Democratic leadership all the while. But then you got police officers viciously attacked on January 6th.
Right.
And they pretend it didn't happen. The hell with these police officers who were claiming they were injured, they were hurt. The ones that were killed, they just dismissed that altogether. And then we got this raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
And now they're attacking the FBI. Defund the FBI. Oh, listen to all the hypocrisy. Defund the FBI. And they want to attack agents, FBI agents. They want to attack FBI offices. They want to attack any and everything to do with the FBI.
And Ray, when you're saying this, most of these FDI in the upper echelon are Republican people.
That's
Right.
correct.
Exactly. Right.
That's correct.
So they turn it on each other.
They're Republican people.
Yeah.
But let's look at the facts of this. The underlying facts of people loving Trump, and people know what it is it's us, Ray. It's trying to keep us down.
And control.
And control.
Right. Right.
That's the underlying facts, and that's what these people seek.
Right.
Or if I can keep these people down
Right.
in this country, because we used to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
this is a clan's what do you want to call it?
Mentality.
Yeah, it's a clan mentality.
You're right.
And their effort to keep us down, as you say, is very systemic.
Yeah.
It's very well organized.
Yes.
And they had, as part of their systemic organization, shoot as many of them as you can and say self-defense law officers. Shoot as many of them as you can. Let's
Right.
keep as many of them as we can out of the country.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
right.
And let's put in jail as many as we can so they can't vote.
Right.
That was
It's-
behind
it's
DeSantis is
systematic.
passing this law
law.
to
Yep.
put people in jail
Yes.
if they block traffic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they would have to stay in jail until a judge gave them a bond hearing. They couldn't go in jail, bond out right away.
Right.
You may have to stay in jail overnight. But it's all ridiculousness, it's all stupidity.
Yeah.
Democracy is hypocrisy.
Right.
what it is.
And that goes back in history when the slaves were being freed, and a lot of the extremists or racists, back to what I was saying, they took jobs as officers and politicians so they can maintain that control. And that's why Trump's using the same strategy from history. That's why when he was running, he kissed the ring of the police. He kissed the ring of the military. Everybody who would back him. These are people in power, National Guard, whatever. He had them behind him at a lot of his rallies.
Right.
So
right.
that perpetuates the authority, and when you got racist people in those positions, you're going to get the more arrests. You're going to, and they are threatened. The racist people are threatened, and that way they can maintain their privilege. So if they could throw us in jail and do all these things that we're talking about, that maintains their privilege. They're afraid.
Yeah.
They're afraid.
Let me hit a point here what Jamie said. I want you to go back when Trump was first elected. The first person that he chose to be his DOJ was Sessions.
Oh, man.
Well, because he
That's
could
the law.
control Sessions.
That's
He could
right.
control him.
Well, Sessions was from Alabama, and he was a racist
Yeah,
from
oh, he's
Alabama,
definitely that. Definitely that.
and he fit Trump's
He fit his
ideology.
Right.
He fit right in there
Exactly.
until he did one thing Trump didn't like. Now Trump turned against him,
Right.
and that's Trump's modus operandi. If you turn against him, he's after you.
Right.
He's after you. But the bottom line is, I want to go back to this DeSantis clown.
Oh my God.
What he did over in Hillsborough County a week and a half ago
Yeah.
is part of this hypocrisy as well,
Sure it is.
because you have an elected official, not once elected, but twice elected official, who's doing his job, and he's doing it well. And then DeSantis come up with this Mickey Mouse lie,
Yeah.
and he line up these clowns behind him, especially Chad Chronister, to offer their stupidity,
Yes.
and he suspends the guy.
Yeah.
He
But
sus-
Ray, how can you suspend a guy and he never done nothing? There was no action. He only said in word, "I'm just not gonna follow the law." That's what he said.
Well,
But
this
he
is the
didn't
thing.
do anything.
Yes,
That's the thing.
right. No action
You don't
taken.
have to do anything. That's the way they've treated us for years.
That's
Right.
We
That's
don't
what
do
Jamie was
anything,
saying.
and they throw charges on us.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Malcolm X stated in one of his in this particular speech,
Right.
he said the police officers will victimize us. They beat us over the head with the clubs. They bloody our mouths. They haul us into court. Then they will claim to be the victims themselves. We attack them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. It's a matter of them putting together a series of lies. And again, that's the hypocrisy
Yeah.
in our democracy.
Truly.
The hypocrisy in our democracy. The victim is accused of being the perpetrator.
And he needs to be shown that this guy that DeSantis is shitting on, he needs to be shown that this is what people of color deal with every day.
Every day.
All the time.
Every day.
So you got your black experience or your person of color experience. Because this is what has to stop.
Yeah.
You know, we're running, and look at us running to his, because it's wrong, but we're running to, you know what I mean? We're speaking against it, and it is wrong.
Right.
But this is what we deal with. So when they start to experience it more, they'll be more sympathetic and change some of these ridiculous laws. But this is how the system is. You know, we just have to continue to vote and fight and you know.
And I go back to what you say, Ray, on hypocrisy, because here's what scares me. When lies become the intimate, you know, just a bunch of lies, and people begin to believe that's what it is, we got a problem.
Yeah.
We got a serious problem.
It's called Fox News.
Yeah.
Called Fox News. Good man.
Yeah.
Fox
Good
News.
man.
Over and over the same. They spew the same. I go into these homes and I'm seeing my patients, and you know, Fox News is on. That's all they got to do all day is watch Fox News. And then when I come in, you could always like get a little uneasy, and then they either turn it off or some leave it or mute it.
They love it.
But Fox News all day. How can you? And you got a right to listen to what you want, but
That's
it's so.
indoctrination. Yeah.
I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
I saw an interview where a lady was asked, do you think Donald Trump has ever told a lie?
Oh my! Come on.
No, this is the question of the lady.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
She was asked, do you think Donald Trump has ever told a lie? She said, no, never. So how do you work with somebody like that?
You can't.
Okay.
It's called brain dead. You cannot.
You can't.
They kissed this man ring. We got
That's right.
kissed this man ring, and DeSantis want to be a wannabe.
Well, again and again, I always appreciate our discussions, and we can go on and on when we're having fun. Time does fly.
Yeah.
So our subject today, democracy is hypocrisy. I think we've covered quite a few bases, but yet there are so many other bases to be covered under this particular subject. Malcolm X, you nailed it.
Good man.
You nailed it. Democracy is hypocrisy.
Yeah.
I want to thank our listeners for tuning in and listening to us, the Ray Tampa Podcast. And I want to invite you to do so each and every Tuesday evening, 5:30 p.m. on 99.1 FM The Jams, or go to YouTube and type in the Ray Tampa Podcast
Yeah.
and take a look and listen to what we have to say. Once again, to my co-hosts, thank you for the discussion. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Good night.
Vote in the local elections.